All right, we are live.
Perfect.
Let's give it a few minutes and see if people join, and then we can start the whole thing.
Sounds good.
All right, we are live on YouTube. All right, just need to share the link a little bit and off we go.
And let me know, Martin, when you think we should start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can kick it off slowly. So as more people turn up throughout the stream, and then we can upload it to YouTube anyways afterwards. So Christopher, welcome. Good to be online with you. We are here. It's a celebratory moment. We have you guys going live on NASDAQ Helsinki with your ETP product. So first off, congratulations, and then welcome to our live stream.
Thank you very much, Martin. And first of all, thank you once again to you and the Konsensus for helping us in setting this webinar up and giving us the opportunity to present Virtune and the news with regards to our listing on the NASDAQ Helsinki. And just to introduce myself shortly, my name is Christopher. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Virtune. And I also have two colleagues with me that will be part of this webinar that will introduce themselves shortly here. So I will just turn the camera around.
Hello, my name is Andreas Severin. I'm head of institutional sales at Virtune.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pia. I work with marketing here at Virtune.
Perfect. And
yeah. I think we're going to kick this off with your presentation, and then we have some questions. So if people have any comments or questions they want to share or ask you, they're more than welcome to post them in the chat. We have gathered some questions in advance. But yeah, the floor is all yours, Christopher.
Thank you very much. And so to begin with, this is the agenda for the webinar where we want to take the opportunity to present Virtune as a company and also our newly listed crypto ETPs that was listed last Monday, 8 days ago on NASDAQ Helsinki. We will also cover some important elements of the current market development in the crypto market, and also our view on how crypto assets can fit into a traditional portfolio combined with an outlook for 2025. And we're also very happy to receive any form of questions that you have in relation to Virtune or our ETPs and other form of questions, and we are more than happy to help. So I will start off here straight away. So to begin with, I want to give you a short introduction to Virtune as a company. We started our journey back in early 2022, and since our inception, we have recognized that being a regulated and transparent entity in the crypto market is one of the most important elements for us to be successful in the long term as a company. So today we are a regulated digital asset manager and an issuer of crypto exchange traded products, which is where you usually call them ETPs, the short name for exchange traded products. And our head office is in Stockholm, in Sweden. And we listed our first exchange traded product in May 2023. So we have been in the market now for a little bit more than 1.5 years. And what Virtune does is that we enable an easy and secure way for both retail investors and institutional investor to invest into crypto in the same way as you would invest in a stock, and also enable investors to easily integrate crypto investments into your traditional portfolio. And currently we have a total of 13 different exchange traded products in the market, where we have now listed a total of 5 exchange traded products on NASDAQ Helsinki so far. And on top of that, we also have products that are listed on other exchanges, including Euronext Amsterdam, Euronext Paris, and Börse Stuttgart in Germany. And our most important vision as a company is to become the leading crypto asset manager in the Nordics. And we believe that our most important mission to be successful in that vision is to take on an educational role around crypto assets and also exchange traded products. That is something that we have worked very intensively with since day one, especially with focus on the Swedish market. And from here now, with our listings in Finland, we are very, very much excited to intensify our efforts, especially when it comes to educational sessions for the Finnish markets. And currently, just to give you an overview, as you can see here, we're a small team. We consist of a total of seven people, and then we have 4 persons, including me, in the board of the company. And all of us in the team are currently based and lives in Sweden. And to give you an overview where we are currently, we manage around 3.6 million Swedish crowns, so that is around 320 million euros. And our products are today owned by more than 130,000 investors across the Nordics. We are also working a lot towards financial advisors, where we are educating and certifying a financial advisor, which enables them to give advice to their clients to invest into crypto through our exchange traded products. And on top of that, we are also working to widen our distribution capabilities, where Nordnet is the largest platform where our products can be traded through multiply markets, and especially in Finland, where Nordnet is a very large and important retail broker in the Finnish market. And as mentioned, our products were listed here on the 8 days ago. And for us, this is something that we have worked against for more than 1 year. So we are very happy to finally be able to introduce crypto ETPs to the Finnish market by being listed on NASDAQ Helsinki. And of course, we're going to cover this and what this means, and also how our products are structured and so on. But just to mention some important things to know about our ETPs that can now be traded on NASDAQ Helsinki is that this enables investors to invest into crypto as easily as you invest into a stock or any other form of security. But also when you invest in a crypto ETP, that enables automatic tax reporting, so you don't need to do any manual work, which can be the case if you invest in spot crypto through a crypto exchange, for example. And also that our products are listed and traded in euro, available on Nordnet on the local exchange. So that also means that both from Virtune side and for investors buying our products, that you support the local market in Finland with NASDAQ Helsinki. And also, we understand that many mature crypto investors will sometimes prefer to have their own digital wallets and manage their own private keys, etc. But according to us, crypto ETPs are a great way to start investing into crypto, and a preferred way for many, and especially for institutional investors, since you don't need to manage a separate account, a separate app, private keys, digital wallets, etc. And the structure of our ETPs, we have also built the structure to maximize the investor protection, which means that all of our ETPs are always 100% physically backed by the underlying crypto assets. Yes, and these were the 5 crypto ETPs that we have listed so far, where we have listed XRP, Bitcoin, Solana and Ethereum, where staking rewards are included, which improves the annual return of the ETP. And then lastly, we have also listed an altcoin index with the purpose of having one product where you can get a wide exposure to the crypto market beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we are also very humble and happy for the reception that we have received so far in the market, where several newspapers and media has covered the listing, and we have also received much positive feedback so far from various investors, which we of course are very happy for, and we look forward to a lot more efforts, both in terms of new products and educational sessions, among other things, in the Finnish market moving forward. Yes, and I also want to touch briefly on the educational part, because that's something we talk about a lot, because we see that that's one of the most important things to drive the crypto adoption forward here in the Nordics, to make more investors understand, for example, what Bitcoin is, what blockchain technology is. So that is something that we always try to work on as hard as possible through events, webinars, newsletters, and other form of efforts. And that is also something that we will seek to do a lot more in the Finnish market moving forward. So we also want to stretch out the hand here. So if anyone would have book an educational session with us within some particular subject, whether it would be crypto ETPs or staking, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to arrange any kind of events related to education. And also to give you an overview about our exchange traded products. So as I mentioned earlier, our products are always 100% physically backed. So that means that if you buy our XRP ETP for €100 on Nordnet, we will store the equivalent amount in actual XRP tokens. And all the crypto assets that are backing up the ETPs are always stored with a qualified crypto custodian that has been approved by NASDAQ. And for all of our ETPs, we are using Coinbase as the custodian. So that's where all the crypto assets are being stored. And we are utilizing cold storage, meaning that the crypto assets, you can say that they are being stored offline at all times. And that is in an industry standard manner known as the most secure way to protect and safeguard crypto assets. And then we also include staking is in our Ethereum and Solana ETP that is listed on NASDAQ Helsinki. And what that basically means is that we are staking the underlying assets directly from cold storage. So we never send them to any third party or lend them out. They're always kept safe in cold storage, where they are being staked, which generates rewards in form of new SOL or new ETH. And this contributes to improving the performance of the ETP. So the staking rewards are being reflected in the daily price of the ETP. And a question some of you might wonder, how does that work with the lockup periods, which is the case if you stake Solana by yourself, for example, but also for Ethereum. And our products are always 100% liquid, so you can always sell or buy a position at any times, even though that staking rewards are included. And the reason for that is that we are not staking 100% of the underlying assets to always guarantee that the products are liquid, which in turn means that the staking yield is a little bit lower, but what you get from it is that you can always sell your position at any times during market hours. And also our product is an easy way for anyone to invest into any of these crypto assets directly through your traditional account with Nordnet or another broker. And lastly, we also have what's called a collateral agent. And the purpose of having a collateral agent that we collaborate with is for them to represent and protect the investors in our exchange traded products. So in a very unlikely scenario where Virtune, for example, would go bankrupt or become insolvent, they would take over the control of our custody accounts, sell all the underlying crypto asset, and then pay back every investors. So by including this collateral agent, that is a way of increasing the investor protection and protecting the investors in our products in general. And on the bottom, you can also see some of our other service providers where we're using Flow Traders. That is one of the biggest ETF market makers in Europe. And they are the market maker for all of our ETPs, ensuring that the ETPs are priced accurately and are always liquid. So our ETPs are listed on NASDAQ Helsinki, but also on NASDAQ Stockholm. And the NASDAQ is a regulated market, which has very stringent requirements on issuers like us that we need to adhere to in order to be approved to list crypto ETPs on a regulated market. And for us, that's an important quality mark that we can comply with all these requirements. And what's good to know there also is that we are only able to list a crypto ETP that is included in NASDAQ's own crypto index, which in turn is governed by an index committee on NASDAQ New York, which sets requirement on that each asset must have a certain time of daily liquidity, among other things. And we can also only use a custodian that has been approved by NASDAQ, and there we have chosen to work with Coinbase, which is also the custodian that, for example, BlackRock, which is the biggest asset manager in the world, is using for their Bitcoin ETF that has gotten a lot of attention the last year in the US. And here is also an overview of the product offering that we have. We continuously work towards listing more products, and we listed a total of 8 exchange traded products during 2024, and are planning to list additional ETPs during 2025. But we usually divide our products into 3 different categories. So the first category is what we call single asset ETPs, meaning that it's an exchange traded product that provides you exposure to one single crypto asset. And what's common for all of our ETPs is that they are always 100% backed by the underlying crypto assets, and the underlying crypto assets are always stored with Coinbase in cold storage. And as you can see here, we have a Finnish flag on some of those, and those are the ETPs that are listed on NASDAQ Helsinki so far. But we're obviously working and looking forward to bringing more of our products to the Finnish market. And currently, when it comes to single assets, we have products for Bitcoin, Chainlink, Arbitrum, XRP, Avalanche, and Polygon. And for our staked products on top of our Ethereum and Solana, we also have a Polkadot and Cardano ETP. And as you can see here, the staking yield that you receive differs a little bit between each product. So for example, for our Solana ETP, the staking yield is 3% per year. Meanwhile, the fee for the product is 0.95% per year. So that means that you get a net yield on approximately 2% after the annual fee of the product. Meanwhile, for our Ethereum product, the yield is variable and varies along with how the staking yield for staking ETH moves over time, but it's usually is around 1 and 3%. Meanwhile, for our Polkadot, it's higher on 4%, and our Cardano ETP has 2% per year. And lastly, we also have what we call index ETPs, and we usually compare this to an index mutual fund, but for crypto, because these products tracks an index which provides a wide exposure to several crypto assets in the same product. So if we start with our Virtune Crypto Top 10 index, as you can see, it only has a Swedish flag, but we have that product listed both in SEK and also Euro. But however, it's listed on NASDAQ Stockholm, but it can be traded in Finland on NASDAQ Stockholm in Euro. And this product, it provides exposure to up to 10 of the leading crypto assets in the same product, where the allocation of each crypto asset is based on the market cap of each crypto asset. But we have added a maximum weight of 40% per crypto asset. And the purpose of that is to promote diversification, because otherwise Bitcoin and Ethereum would make up a very large part of the total portfolio. And this product is being rebalanced every month. So each month, existing crypto asset may be excluded from the index and new crypto assets may enter the index. So this product will always reflect the current market conditions due to the rebalancing effect taking place every month. And for our altcoin, Virgin Crypto Altcoin Index ETP, that is now listed on NASDAQ Helsinki. The purpose of this product is to get a wide exposure to altcoins, meaning crypto assets excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And for this product, the allocation of each crypto asset is not based on the market cap. So instead, each crypto asset is equally weighted. So for example, Solana will have as large percentage of the total portfolio, like for example, Chainlink, even though Solana has a much bigger market cap than Chainlink. And this product is also being rebalanced each month, where crypto assets can be removed or included. And on each rebalancing, the weights will be resetted back to equally weighted. So that basically means that crypto assets that has performed well during the month, that in that case we will sell the underlying asset and reduce the allocation of that certain crypto asset back to equally weighted. And for crypto assets that hasn't performed well, that means that we will buy more of the asset that has performed worse during the month. So that is obviously a product that is also more volatile, given that you have equally weighted exposure to smaller altcoins. So that's something that to be cautious about, but it's a good way for someone who wants to invest into altcoins but aren't sure which altcoin you want to invest into, because here you get a wide exposure to up to 10 leading altcoins in the same product. But also, as you can see at the bottom, it's currently only 7 crypto assets included. And that is because there aren't more altcoins that are included in NASDAQ's crypto index as of today, but that can change over time. And that is something that we expect to change over time also. All right. And also to touch base a little bit when it comes to liquidity and pricing, I'm sure some of you are already comfortable and familiar with crypto ETPs in general. But what's good to know with our ETPs is that we are using leading market makers to ensure a Delta 1 pricing. And Delta 1 pricing means to ensure that the ETP is always correlating 1-to-1 with the underlying crypto asset. So if Bitcoin jumps up 3% in the next hour, the crypto ETP should jump up 3% also. And there we're using Flow Traders, which is the leading market maker in Europe, both within ETFs, but also for crypto ETPs. And what's also good to know is that the daily turnover of any of our ETPs does not affect the liquidity. And the reason for that is when you buy or sell any of our ETPs on Nordnet, the counterparty will, in the most of the times, always be our market maker. So, and they are pricing the ETPs based on the performance of the underlying asset and not based on the supply and demand of the actual ETP. And we're not going to go in too much technical into this, but the underlying product structure that we have is very similar to an exchange traded fund, an ETF, where you continue to issue or redeem existing shares of the ETP to match supply and demand. So for example, if someone would place a large order, let's say on 3 million euro in our Bitcoin ETP, then our market maker would sell the shares corresponding to that amount, and we would issue new shares that would be settled to finalize that trade, basically. So to summarize that, independently of the daily turnover, our products are always liquid. It's always possible to make a large volume trade or a small volume trade, independent of if it's a buy or sell order, because of this structure with our market makers always ensuring that the products are liquid. And then just to also touch base briefly on how our products are priced. They are priced based on what we call coin entitlement. And that basically means that one share, if you buy one share of Virtune XRP ETP, for example, that specific share represents a certain amount of actual XRP tokens that are being stored with our custodian Coinbase. So for example, yesterday, as you can see, the one share was representing 0.99 and so on XRP as of yesterday. And that is how our market maker is pricing the ETPs on a daily basis. And what that means for staking rewards and also the annual fee is that the effect of the annual fee will mean that the amount of XRP tokens per ETP will decrease over time. Meanwhile, staking rewards for our staking ETPs will mean that the amount of Solana, for example, per ETP will increase over time, and therefore the staking rewards are reflected in the daily price of the ETP. All right, and this can be quite complex when going through this the first time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And also, if there will be any questions occurring after this webinar, we are more than welcome. We are more than happy to answer any questions through email or by contacting us in our social media channels. And lastly, from my side, I also want to touch base on some important events taking place in the crypto market that we believe is important to be aware about. So obviously, one large event has been Trump's inauguration that happened last Monday on the 20th of January. And this is a very large thing for the crypto market and something that many in the crypto market has looked forward to, given the fact that this is the first time that we have a US president and an administration in the US that is very pro-crypto. And what we have seen so far is that Trump's first executive orders that has been related to crypto assets have been released. And one interesting thing there is the SAB 121 that will be removed. And we believe that this will enable more traditional banks to hold crypto, but also for companies that want to adopt the same Bitcoin standard strategy that MicroStrategy is doing, where you're accumulating Bitcoin with your cash flow or creating bonds or borrowing money to buy more Bitcoin, that this will enable more companies to adopt the same strategy to build shareholder value. So we expect to see more companies during this year adopt a similar strategy to what we have seen with MicroStrategy that has been very successful. If you look at the development of their market cap during the last year. And on the second part, as many of you probably are aware of, Gary Gensler has now stepped down as SEC chair, and soon we expect to see that Paul Atkins will receive the final confirmation that he will be the new SEC chair, and he is obviously a very pro-crypto individual. So we expect this to be a very, very big difference compared to how the SEC has been run in the US for the last couple of years. And also on the third topic, we have Scott Bessent. Now it's been confirmed that he will be the new boss of the US Treasury, and he is also a very crypto-friendly individual. So to summarize that, we are seeing that on some of the most important roles when it comes to the financial industry in the US, we will now have very pro crypto individuals, which obviously can have a very big impact on the US market, which can have a spillover effect into other financial markets across the globe. And I think that number 4 is something that many are waiting for, but as many of you probably know, there has been lots of talks and speculations regarding a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the US. And the movements we have seen is that several states in the US, including Pennsylvania, has applied to set up their own legislation for Bitcoin reserves, but also that we are seeing similar developments in Germany, Switzerland, and other markets around the world. And when or if this happens, this will obviously also have a large effect on Bitcoin's adoption globally. We also expect, with more crypto-friendly legislation coming into place in the US, that will also enable tokenization and stablecoin usage to grow substantially. And that can affect the blockchains and crypto assets that are deeply involved within tokenization and stablecoins, for example, Ethereum, in a very good manner. So that is also something that we are monitoring closely and look forward to following throughout this year. And on the number 5, we also, as we have seen a lot of in the last year, but global adoption among several different companies, especially asset manager funds, pension funds, and other form of institutional investors starting to allocate into Bitcoin and other crypto assets in a bigger, more than what we have seen so far. And that is actually also something that we on Virtune are seeing here in the Nordics, that more and more banks and other form of financial institutions are taking a more and more friendly stance against crypto. So we expect that adoption to accelerate even further during this year. Perfect. All right, that was everything from me, and I will shoot over to Andreas.
Yes, just to continue on what Christopher mentioned here in his last slides, we just wanted to give you sort of an idea of what we see as the major trends for 2025, and a little bit of sort of the information that we send on and present for our institutional clients. As Christopher mentioned, we see a tremendous growth currently, both financial advisors, family offices, banks, fund managers, and so on. So we just wanted to give you an idea of the major factors and trends we see in the market, driving the market this year and probably the next as well. So I just wanted to divide it into 4 different categories. And obviously, Christopher has touched on a few of them already. But I don't think we can understate the importance of what happened in the election here in November of last year. We see a clear path now, and a lot of sort of actors in this space do, that we now, for the first time ever, probably see a clear path to very clear regulatory and legislative framework in the US market. And sometimes you can ask why it's important, what happens in the US market. Well, you know, if like it or not, it does matter for the rest of the world, because it is the world's single largest financial market by far. And what happens there tends to have a spillover effect globally, not only for crypto, but for any sort of financial instrument whatsoever. And we see that as a very, very positive. And we see a few steps coming, both on the regulatory side, but also on the legislative side, which is long term, I think, is even more important coming here in the coming year, and probably in the coming first 100 days of the administration. MiCA, as you are probably aware of, is something also very important. Obviously, that's an EU-based regulatory framework that was implemented here during last year, and will start to take more effect in individual countries now during 2025. From Virtune's side, as Christopher mentioned, our aim initially from the start has always been to try to be as regulated, as transparent as possible. So we see this as a very positive. We see any time of regulatory implementation is done, increases the amount of people attracted and be able to invest in crypto, we think is very positive. So that's going to be implemented here during the year. And obviously it aims to sort of increase the consumer and investment protection which we all think is positive, and take away some of the bad actors that has been a part of the crypto space previously, and hopefully can remove most of them here going forward. And obviously for Bitcoin specifically, Bitcoin halving, as you know, happened here in April of last year. So put together some graphs to show you what has happened previously cycles, and we see more or less happening this cycle as well. And then also see, as Christopher mentioned, the institutional growth. We see that as the only beginning. Obviously, we've seen tremendous growth last year on the institutional side, but we still think we're absolutely in the bare minimum of that. And we think a lot of that is going to happen during this coming year. So regarding the framework for the US, obviously there's a few different issues here we think are important. As Christopher mentioned, and that's something that's been spoken about for quite some time, not least during the elections last year in the US. But there are clear trends, and not only trends, but clear initiatives being taken, not only the US, but in major countries globally on creating crypto reserves, mainly perhaps on Bitcoin, but also more and more we see tendencies and trends and indications that will be maybe part of a larger crypto reserve for countries. And there's a lot of factors and reasons for that, obviously, but I think one major thing is that we see a clear trend globally that inflation will be a problem, but not only for states, but also for investment advisors and money managers and wealth managers globally here in the coming years. And if you speak about Bitcoin specifically, obviously inflation hedge and inflation protection will become a more increasing and more important part of creating and protecting portfolios. And that's why we see crypto reserves on a sovereign scale, but also individually becoming more and more prominent here during the 2025. And then obviously when it comes to stablecoins, Tether, as you know, has been globally at least dominant for many, many years in this space. With the elections and the results of that, we see a lot of stablecoin actors locally in the US being developed now. So we think stablecoins in general, but mainly US-based stablecoins is going to be huge here going forward. And obviously, you've probably seen Ripple launch their own here in the last couple of months. So that's a trend that's going to keep on growing. And that's, we think, at least very, very positive for the crypto space. And it's also sort of the link between the crypto world and the traditional financial world when it comes to payment services and so on. When it comes to SEC and the CFTC, obviously, as you know, SEC is the regulatory authority that regulates the financial market. CFTC is more on the spot trading side, perhaps, but both of them now have very pro-crypto leadership. And that has not been the case during the past 4 years. I would argue that it's been actually the total opposite of that. So that is very positive for us and the crypto community as a whole. And I think to underline this, and this is a question we get sometimes from financial clients, institutional clients that we have, are you against regulation? And the answer is no, we're of course not. We want regulation. We want implementation rules when it comes to the crypto space, but we want that within reason and without one clear sort of regulatory framework. And that's exactly what we think we're going to get now from the US. So that's positive globally, positive for the crypto space, and enables crypto links and the crypto link to the traditional financial services industry. And legislation obviously a second step of that. And it's hard to say obviously what's exactly going to happen, but I wanted to just give an example of what happened last year. As you probably know, we had a House of Representatives that was in the Republican control during the previous administration. Obviously the Senate and the White House within Democratic control. But the House actually passed the legislation last year that was called FIT 121, which was actually voted down by the Democrats then. But if you look at what that entails and what that involves, it's sort of almost like a MiCA regulation, but for the US market. So we think that we will see something similar here coming up again for a vote. Obviously, the Republicans control everything now. So we see something similar coming up here within the first 100 days. What that's going to lead to is just going to make it more easy for banks, traditional financial actors, to actually include crypto into their portfolios, into custody accounts, into 401ks, for example. And all this does is to make it more broadly available for broader investment mass, which means that to boil it down to a simple word, it makes it easier for more people to buy crypto. And that is very positive, we think, for the space as a whole. And a spillover effect, obviously, and this is more to the SEC side. We've already seen a number of applications for more ETFs, spot ETFs, both for XRP, Solana, Chainlink, and now Litecoin. We think this is good. This is just the beginning, and this is going to explode during the year or the coming years. And that's also very positive. That's the same thing as we saw for Bitcoin. Once the spot Bitcoin ETFs were launched last year, as we saw, it's the most successful ETF launch in the US history. So as soon as an asset class is made available through traditional investment channels, we've seen clear evidence that the investor will, or the demand is there. They haven't got the sort of framework before, but now they do. And I think that's very positive for us as well, and for you. Obviously, the Bitcoin halving cycle, and just to underline and to be totally clear, obviously, we can't guarantee that previously behavior is always a guarantee for future outcome, obviously. But just looking at the three different previous halving cycles, and this graph is a logarithmic, so it means that we've just taken the 700 days before the halving and 700 days afterwards. And the red line is the current cycle we're in now. So if we behave, or the price behaves anything like it's done in the previous cycles, we should still be very much in the beginning of this, what's called halving cycle. And in addition to that, I think we see a few different factors this time around that we haven't seen previous rounds. Obviously, the US ETFs, with the tremendous inflow of capital that has meant during the past year, and there's no sign of that declining at all. And also, obviously, the regulatory framework is more friendly now. So we think that we are, obviously, it's hard to say how long this Bitcoin halving bull run will continue, obviously, but we think, at least, and obviously we don't know, but we do think we are in the beginning, or not, maybe sort of at the part of the beginning of the halving cycle, and we think we have pretty much further runway to go before we peak. Then obviously, when it comes to Bitcoin specifically, and this is a question that we get sometimes from financial institutions and institutional clients that are not maybe so well acquainted with Bitcoin as an asset class. And the question comes sometimes, what's Bitcoin's worth? So obviously the gold is quite interesting, but the number one, obviously, determining factor of value is supply and demand. And I just took out a graph here. You've probably seen this graph many, many times, but I think it's very interesting to see that the number of Bitcoin available on exchanges globally keep decreasing, and the demand keeps increasing. So just using normal economic financial metrics, that does mean, in our opinion at least, that we will see a continued price increase over time. For how long, we don't know. Obviously, it's still going to be volatile, very volatile, obviously. The yearly volatility is now around 22%, so that's still very high for an asset class of this size, obviously. But we see over time the volatility will come down, in our opinion. But we see very strong trends that the demand is way outpacing, obviously, the supply. And with the halving, the supply is decreased even further last year. So this is also a positive factor long term for Bitcoin. And then finally here, just to give you a point on the institutional interest and the institutional growth that Christopher mentioned as well. One metric that we use and that we look at quite closely, actually, is to look at open interest. And open interest is just a summary of all the future contracts, both long and short, to a specific asset. In this instance, both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if you look at the top graph, for example, the open interest summary of all future contracts, value of that at the beginning of last year was 15 billion. It is currently around 65 billion. So that'll give you an idea of how much growth there's been from the institutional side, the interest in the asset class of Bitcoin. And for Ethereum, you can see on a percentage basis, the growth is even more, obviously. But so this is a clear indication. It's not the whole truth, obviously, but it's one factor that you can look at to determine long-term interest in an asset class from institutional investors. And both of Bitcoin and Ethereum surely points to that the interest is there in a very big way, and it is growing. All right. And this is probably no news to most of you, but this is just to give you an idea of what we speak to when we speak to our institutional clients, what we sort of emphasize with Bitcoin as an asset class specifically. Obviously, Bitcoin is still in a very much of a growth stage. I think 130% roughly increased last year in value. But we think over time, Bitcoin will move from a growth asset to be much more of a store of value, inflation and protection, an asset class that has low decorrelation with traditional risk-on assets. So that's the long term, in our view, where Bitcoin will fit into portfolios. Obviously now it's growing and it's growing fast because of the investor interest, obviously. But over time, I think it's going to move on and become more of a, the popular term is digital gold, but it certainly has attributes that gold doesn't have. It's easy to store. It's very cheap to store. There is a capped supply, which gold hasn't. So there's a lot of benefits in Bitcoin that no other asset class has. But mainly probably the most strong argument for Bitcoin, in our opinion, and for more and more institutions, both pension funds and small institutions as well, is that will never be more than 21 million. So there's scarcity, and that argument holds very fast, and that increases the growing importance when inflation keeps being a problem for most investors. And then correlation, obviously, and this is a graph from last year. This is something that institutional investors look at quite a bit, because obviously when you build a portfolio, if it's stocks, if it's bonds, if it's commodities, real estate, whatever it is, you want to have asset classes that can perform when other asset classes don't. And a strong argument for both Bitcoin and Ethereum that over time the correlation between all other asset classes is quite low. Obviously, it's higher now with Bitcoin and, for instance, the tech stocks in general. Over last year, it's increased quite a bit. But it's still historically very, very low, which means that when times, for example, if you have a 2022, if you remember that year, when both equities and fixed income actually decreased, Bitcoin performed positively. So over time, Bitcoin and Ethereum, to a certain extent, has proven to have a very low correlation, and it can actually perform in a portfolio when other asset classes don't. So that's an argument as well for including cryptocurrencies, crypto assets into your portfolio. Lastly, this is also something that we focus a bit on when it comes to Bitcoin as a safe haven. Just to illustrate that, I've taken a graph from what's called the KRX index. That's an index tracking the provisional regional banks in the US. So if you remember back in March of 2023, you had two Silicon Valley banks defaulting. As you can see, the green graph, it went straight down to the seller there. If you look at the spot price for Bitcoin, it went the total opposite direction. So that would mean that would be in a delta sort of correlation of -1, obviously. Which brings us to the point of Bitcoin. Over time, if you look at very large geopolitical events, if it's war, if it's large instability in the financial sector, Bitcoin has proven over time to actually create value and increase over time when other asset classes do not at all. So that's also an argument for including Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies or assets into your portfolio over time. And then finally, I think I've said finally now 5 times, but this is the final one. This is also obviously return is the most important, especially for financial customers and clients. So what we've done here, we just assumed or store the base case scenario. The blue one is the classic 60-40 portfolio, 60% equities. In this case, it's MSCI World, and 40% Bloomberg Fixed Income Aggregate Index. And the two other scenarios, we just include either 5% crypto assets and 10% crypto assets during a period of 4 years dating back from 1st of January 2021. And as you know, this includes a period where cryptocurrencies or assets had a very turbulent time during the FTX crash, for example. Still, no matter considering that, even that, the performance do way outperform if you don't have any crypto assets in your portfolio. So just to put a bow on it, and what Christopher mentioned, we see this is probably the main reason we see an increase in demand from financial actors and clients. They want to see the benefits of including crypto assets into their portfolios. And we see anything ranging from 1%, 2%, 3%, all the way up to 10% to their traditional portfolios. And we think this is only going to grow coming the next years. Yeah, I think that was the last one.
All right, thank you, Andreas. Great. So, and if you have any questions from here, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah, we had some questions already posted in advance from the community side, and I thought it would be interesting to have a short Q&A/conversation part to this presentation. So thank you for the presentation, and maybe to clarify for the audience one more time, what are ETPs, and more specifically, everyone has heard about the Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETFs. What's the actual difference between these instruments?
That's a really good question. And to put it like this, ETP is actually a collection term. It's exchange traded product. And ETF is an exchange traded fund. And our products, so a little bit technical, but they are actually listed as exchange traded notes on NASDAQ Helsinki. And due to regulations, due to UCITS regulations to be specific, it's not possible in Europe to list a Bitcoin ETF. So therefore, usually how we talk about it is that our products are the equivalent to the US ETFs, because the underlying structure, how the products are priced, liquidity, etc., is very similar to the US ETFs. So it's basically a regulatory reason why we don't have crypto ETFs in Europe. Instead, we have crypto ETNs, but we usually call them crypto ETPs. And from an investor standpoint, it is very, very similar, because the underlying structure, that both product types are physically backed, how they're priced, etc., are the same, more or less.
All right. But yeah, I would still consider this as an historic event. But we had a question on LinkedIn when posting about this, that sort of what are the practical benefits of listing on Helsinki NASDAQ? So specifically, because it's already listed on the Stockholm side, now it's also on the Helsinki side. But
yeah, that's a really good question. So I would actually mention several reasons for that. But from Virtune's point of view, we have since our inception obviously had our absolute main focus on Sweden. But our most important market as an asset manager beyond Sweden is by far Finland. So for us, this is a way for us to show our commitment to the market, that we want to make an impact. We want to contribute together with others to drive the crypto adoption forward in the Finnish market. But if you look at it from an investor's point of view, I believe that even if you can, as you mentioned, Martin, you can, for example, trade crypto ETPs listed on NASDAQ Stockholm, including ours, which are listed in SEK. But I think the absolute majority of Finnish investors, even if you're a individual or an institution, you would always prefer to trade in your local currency, which is euro and not the SEK, because of exchange rates reasons and other reasons. So that is one important thing why it's better to have a locally listed product. But other than that, it's also a way to expand the crypto adoption by having locally listed products on NASDAQ Helsinki. We see that as a very important step in the adoption of crypto into traditional finance in the Nordics by taking this important step. And for us, it's about, once again, we want to be able to serve investors in the Finnish market in the best possible way. And then we believe that having a local product listed on the local exchange with a Finnish flag on it and not a Swedish flag traded in your local currency is the best possible way.
all right. I think there was some minor connection issues. I missed part of the answer, but hopefully the audience got majority of it. But you're probably at the forefront of looking at this institutional adoption of crypto. What are you seeing? How do you see this playing out in the next couple of years? So And is there any difference between the institutional investors in Sweden and Finland, or Nordics in general?
I would say there are some differences between each market. I would say that this is also based a little bit on assumptions, because we aren't experts in every market here in the Nordics. But I think if you look at it from a more global scale point of view, what we have seen for the last years is that markets like Germany and Switzerland are very far ahead, where we can see that lots of family offices, for example, has started to allocate to crypto for many years now. But so I would say that the Nordics has been a little bit behind compared to those larger and more crypto adopted markets. But I would say that after the Bitcoin ETFs was approved, that has been an important game changer when some of the largest asset managers in the world, like BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, among others, are out now educating the market globally and legitimizing crypto, both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So far, I expect us to see more of that for other crypto assets as an asset class, and are actively promoting and educating institutions, financial advisors around the world around cryptos and also cloud. So I think this is gonna accelerate the adoption also here in the Nordics, and that's what we have seen so far. So, for example, we had the first financial advice organization ever in the Nordics starting to give advice on crypto investments for their clients, and I could believe also that we will see more of the larger traditional banks starting to accept crypto investing in different manner during this year and the future. You're muted, Martin, I think.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. So do you see the MiCA regulation playing a key role here? So basically giving clarity to, well, the whole crypto market in general, but also from the institutional side of things. I think it's sort of a stamp of approval, which gives the financial advisors sort of the go-ahead to add the crypto to portfolio. So you think we will see this as part of every sort of TradFi portfolio in the near future, or?
Yeah, I definitely think that MiCA will have a big impact in a positive manner. I think the issue that we've had, which has been the same case both in Sweden and Finland, for example, is that you have put all crypto operations under the AML, anti-money laundering laws, for example, and you have done the same thing in other European markets. But the anti-money laundering laws that was, I think, it was made around 2001, the current version, isn't adjusted to fit into crypto, which is a whole new industry with very wide use cases and areas. So I think that what has been bad about that is that this has made it hard for regulators and financial players to know how to actually act and know how to deal with crypto in general. So I think now when we have a clear legislation and framework in place in the European Union, that will, number one, increase the investor protection, because that will make it harder for actors that are not here for the right reasons, for fraud reasons or other form of bad behavior, to establish themselves in the European Union. So I think this will protect investors and make sure, and hopefully prevent that we will have similar events that we have seen in the past, like FTX, that injured the trust for the crypto market in general. But number two, also with clear legislation in place, that will also make it easier for banks and other form of financial institutions to move closer to crypto.
All right. I see you already have the yield products as ETPs. You had some index funds there as well. What are the next sort of trends in general in crypto that you're looking at and find interesting, and what kind of ETP products are you guys planning next?
That's a really good question. I think what we have seen, I would put it like this: we expect the crypto adoption of both individuals and institutions to continue and to accelerate, and that, as we see it, that will mean that more and more blockchains will mature over time, And I think that index products where you have certain strategies to get exposure to certain segments of the market, whether it's tokenization or you look at certain elements to allocate into a certain to specific crypto assets or so, will become more and more relevant as the crypto market matures. Because historically we have seen that, especially for retail investors, that you usually have decided that I want to invest in this specific crypto asset, and that's it. But I think as the crypto market matures and we see more and more blockchains differentiating from each other, I think index products will become more and more relevant for investors in general. And I think from our side, we are planning to list more products, both completely new products and now when we are, after a lot of work, have listed ETPs in Finland, we are certainly looking forward to bringing more ETPs into the Finnish market and enabling the easiest and most secure way for anyone to invest into crypto assets, according to us.
Oh yeah, and one final question we had for the community: any meme coin ETPs coming out anytime soon, or any institutional interest in that kind of investment?
There is certainly, I can imagine, there are probably plenty of hedge funds, etc., speculating in meme coins on pure from a pure trading point of view. But from our side, I would probably have to make someone disappointed. I think we are obviously always going to listen to the market and try to meet the demand of what investors are seeking to invest into. But I think so. But we are also not trying to be too partial, but to focus on launching products with crypto assets that stand for something fundamental value or use case. And on top of that, we also, since our products are listed on a regulated market in the form of NASDAQ, that also means that a crypto asset needs to be included in the NASDAQ crypto index. And I would say that it is very unlikely that we would see a meme coin being included in that index.
Fair enough. That remains to be seen. Any final words from your side, Christopher? From my side, a pleasure and a thank you to you.
Yeah, sure. I hope that everyone that has listened have gotten a clear presentation about Virtune and our products. And just to summarize again, we want to enable the easiest and most secure way to invest into crypto assets, and especially integrate them into your traditional portfolio and invest into crypto as easily as buying a stock. So hence we are once again we're happy to be present now in the Finnish market. And if anyone have any sort of questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are also very active in our social media channels. You can also reach out to us on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, also if you have any questions, and we are always happy to assist in any way we can.
All right. Thank you, Christopher. And on behalf of Konsensus, the Finnish Cryptocurrency Association, thank you everyone for watching. And until next time.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you once again, Martin.